Hello YouTube, and welcome back. Fifth episode of Telling Stories launches now. We are taking a look at my 3 most underrated TV shows of all time. Completely arbitrary list of shows that I think are very underappreciated in society. So strap in and get ready. I'm Andrew Crabtree, and this is Telling Stories. Thanks for coming back for another episode, YouTube. Today's episode number 5, and we're looking at my 3 most underrated TV shows. Now, I realize this is a completely arbitrary list because I haven't seen all the TV shows that are out there. These are just some that I like that I think that are pretty underappreciated by people, at least that I know in society. So no full episodes today, no reviews. We're just going to do a quick little episode on these 3 shows. So without further ado, my 3rd most underrated show of all time, Community. Now, Community originally aired on the network of NBC, and it actually finished out its, I guess it's the sixth season on, I need to look that up. So Community originally aired on the network of NBC, but the 5th season was actually completed on Yahoo Screen, kind of a short-lived streaming platform. But I think this is a really underrated show because it's really funny. The character interactions are hilarious. I love the fact that this show has inside jokes that go from season to season to season with some of the characters. So if you watch the whole season in order, there's lots of jokes that kind of pop up throughout the entire series.
Shut up, Leonard. I heard about your prescription socks.
Shut up, Leonard. I found your YouTube page. What's the point in reviewing frozen pizza?
This is a show, too, that kind of pokes fun at society and is really just kind of has fun and nothing's off limits, nothing's sacred. I also really like it because I went to community college, and a lot of the same dynamics that were at play in a real community college are just kind of amplified to be a little more dramatic on the show.
Man, you guys really love these stupid chicken fingers, huh? They're not stupid. They're the only good thing in the cafeteria.
I haven't had one in weeks. They run out so fast.
But anyone that's gone to community college can definitely identify with some of the themes of the show, so it's kind of fun for me on a personal level. But yeah, it's a really funny show. The reason that I have it as 3rd on my list is that out of the 3 shows on this list, it probably had the most mainstream success. So even though I feel like it's really underrated and doesn't quite get its due, it was a fairly successful show on cable television, on network television actually. So if you haven't seen Community, you can watch the entire series. All seasons are now airing on Hulu. So if you have Hulu, go ahead and check that out.
Shut up, Leonard. I once mistook 6 people for you at a pharmacy.
Moving on to my 2nd most underrated show of all time, Other Space. So Other Space, definitely more obscure than Community. It just had 1 season. It aired on an online platform like Yahoo Screen, which in itself is pretty obscure. But it's just a really funny show set in deep space. It's actually a satire that kind of pokes fun at other space-themed or deep space kind of shows. And usually I'm not really into satire, but this show is just really funny. So another thing that I think is actually really interesting or cool or fun about Other Space is that the actors that play the main characters actually kind of found fame as actors in commercials. So you'd actually probably would know the actors from AT&T commercials more than you would from actually acting in Other Space.
You ever put pepper spray on your burrito? I like it spicy, but not like, oh.
Sorry, are we still doing the whisper thing, or?
So it was fun for me to watch these actors that were kind of famous from commercials and watch them actually do acting in this show. You can actually still watch this show on Yahoo, even though Screen isn't a platform anymore, so I'll have a link in the description below. I recommend you check it out. Really underrated show, but very funny. And my number 1 underrated show of all time is a show called Eureka. Now, I actually started watching Eureka close to the end of its original run. I actually binge-watched that show on Netflix and watched the last couple seasons live on Sci-Fi Network. Eureka is a show that's set in the Pacific Northwest in this town that's supposed to be this government think tank where all the top government scientists interact and create inventions, and it's just a whole series of hijinks and unfortunate events.
First, my PDA has a camera, and now black holes are everywhere. People need to know these things!
The character interactions are really great. It's a funny show. And because it's kind of set in this scientific community, this think tank, I actually feel like I learned something watching the show. There's always all the episodes are kind of built around like an actual scientific theory kind of gone wrong. So you actually do learn some science from it. But in the end, just a very funny show, light, easy to watch. And unfortunately, if you haven't seen Eureka, you're going to have to pay for every season on either iTunes or Amazon because none of the major streaming platforms offer it. So if you haven't seen Eureka, I apologize. It's not going to get any easier for you to watch it. So you're going to have to either take my word for it or go out and purchase all the seasons. So that's it. That's my 3 most underrated shows of all time. Completely arbitrary. Feel free to disagree with me. I'd love to see what you think in the comments below. Check back next week. I'm going to be doing an episode on why I stopped watching The Walking Dead. Which is crazy because I'm such a big fan of the comics. I've got compendiums 1, 2, and 3 behind me. I got a little Daryl. But check back to know why I stopped watching the show. Thanks for watching, guys. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please do. I love it every time I see that subscriber count go up. So check back next week. I'm Andrew Crabtree, and this has been Telling Stories.